So most people go into farming to grow things or to raise animals or whatever, but the record keeping and paperwork part of it is just as important. And for me, that actually was kind of the fun part. I like growing things, and that's what I wanted to be doing. But actually organizing it and keeping it or doing it on paper first and making it work on paper first was fun for me, and turns out to be pretty essential for any project. If it doesn't work on paper, if the numbers don't work on paper, it's a lot less likely that they're going to work in real life either. Um, so that's my philosophy. Always make it work on paper first. And the underlying understanding or the underlying goal is to know where your money is coming from, where are you earning your money, what's bringing in the income, and know where all your money is going. And that seems really basic, but a lot of people don't know that. They kind of know what's in their bank account, but they don't know actually the details of what went in and what came out of that. And so this financial record keeping is essential. It's essential for your business operations and knowing that what you're doing are the right things. And it's essential for your tax records because you have to have evidence for everything that you're claiming is part of your business. And so this can be done on computers, obviously. I've used Quicken and QuickBooks. You can use an Excel spreadsheet, but it can be done on paper as well. I like to have a backup of everything on paper because I'm old-fashioned in that way. But you could have it all digital as well. And so the basic thing is to be organized, to have a way in the heat of your busy season, for vegetables, the busy summer season, to have a way that you don't lose track of that kind of information. You may not be able to deal with it, you may not be able to record it right away, but you need to be able to gather that information so that when you need to get it into a form that you can find meaning from it or learn from it, you can do that. And so the way I do that is with little envelopes. All the receipts go into envelopes based on the month that they were made. So I may not have time in a month to actually input it all into my QuickBooks program or pull up any kind of report, but as soon as I do have time, everything's there that I need, and I can get it all inputted and have it then saved for my longer term records, which you do have to keep your records for IRS purposes at least 3 years from when you file your tax or pay it, whichever is longer, I think. And but if any of those records are still applicable, like if you're depreciating something or a cost is extending beyond those 3 years, you have to keep those records longer. And so you have to have a way to keep them in a manner that you can also retrieve them as well. So you can do that on a computer, but you can also just do it in a little folder. And what I do is just have these envelopes with the receipts in them based on month and keep that. And so halfway through the year, it's this big. At the end of the year, I have a folder with just 1 year's worth of information, and I can pretty quickly find anything I might need if I have to look back at a previous year. And we do that quite often, like for instance, for like a feed bill, like how much grain did we order last year at this time for the winter? And I don't always remember that off the top of my head. I go and I can find the receipt that from our last year's order and use it. So it's practical information. It's not just busy work for the IRS or for your accountant or whatever. It's practical. You use that information to make good business decisions and to learn from what you've spent or earned in the past. One way you can then do that and is to be especially helpful in your business decisions is then if you're identifying maybe the different enterprises that you have on a farm. Usually you're not just doing one thing. They interact undoubtedly because most farms are sort of a mix of many things that you're doing, but you can analyze each thing separately. So we've had many animals, chickens, sheep, goats, cow, horse in the past, and we keep track separately what we spend on each of those critters, each of those types of critters. For us, chickens have never made money, but we do strive to break even on them. So, and we would have them probably even if they lost money because they serve other purposes. So just because something's not making money doesn't mean we decide not to do it or that it's not part of our farm business. But it does have a function that maybe isn't cash flow. In this case, chickens eat a lot of our compost. They are bug control, things like that. So there's lots of different decisions besides money decisions, but a lot of times that sort of baseline, having that, being able to balance things economically is what's going to make you succeed. And so you have to put things in the proper perspective in that bigger picture. And part of that includes the economic impact of them. And so that you need to have the records that can inform those decisions. Part of all the record keeping then allows you to make a budget that you can work with to know how you're doing throughout a year or throughout, usually it's a year, but over time. Budgets are not stuck in stone. So a lot of people resist them, thinking that's going to limit what they can do or purchase or whatever. But really, they give you freedom, because what you've done is sit down, decided based on your desires or on your historical records that you've kept. You decide, not in the spur of the moment, what is a reasonable amount you're looking for, or what are reasonable expenses, and what you want to spend things on, and how you want to balance out your income and expenses. You make that decision, and then that gives you a guideline. So then you can, on a personal level, you budget in your ice cream purchases. Then you don't have to feel guilty about purchasing ice cream if it's in your budget, right? So, and you've worked out the numbers, it works on paper, and you can, buy ice cream guilt-free, except for the calories. But but on a business level, it can work that way as well. You don't have to question and say, can this business afford this? If you've determined already that it can, based on your paper, working it out on paper, you are free then to make those decisions, to take advantage of maybe good deals when they come up, to not buy things that weren't in part of the plan just because you think they're a good deal, because if they weren't part of your plan, then it's not a good deal to buy something necessarily. But it gives you a good guide. So budgets are freeing in that way, and they give you a realistic and safe guide as you move through your business, and something to measure your progress against. And that serves a really important purpose if you want to succeed in the long term in your business venture of farming.